We're live.
Yay!
There's a spark of magic in your eye. Candyland appears each time you smile. Never thought that fairy tales came true, but they come true when I'm near you. You're a genie in disguise, full of wonder and surprise, and it's like loving wild. You're the one that I've been waiting for forever, and ever will my love for you keep growing strong. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Body crazy curvy wavy big titties little waist. Body crazy curvy wavy big titties little waist. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. I'm a hot ebony, they gon' click it if it's me. All my features been getting these niggas through the quarantine. Bitch, I'm very well on my shit as you could tell. Any hoe got me from years ago is beating by herself. If we took a trip on the real creep tip, bitch, rule number 1 is don't repeat that shit. Rule number 2, if they all came with you, they better know exactly what the fuck they came to do. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Body crazy curvy wavy big titties little waist. Body crazy curvy wavy big titties little waist. Body yaddy 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 yaddy.
You rapping, calling your sisters bitches and hoes. And then when you get your award for degrading yourself and your people, I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The white man will give you an Academy Award for calling your women bitches and hoes and glorifying pimp life. So you become a millionaire on degradation and you think that's all right.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hey, hi.
I hope you guys enjoyed that little mantra. I tried to find some videos that'll show a comparison between yesterday's music and today's music, and that's the best. That was the best I can do. I hope
I didn't see WAP up there.
WAP, not WAP.
Well, there you go. See, there you go.
I'm gonna start in the order that I see on the screen. Tanya, how are you doing, my sister?
Hello, how are you guys? Everybody's good?
Well, yes, everybody's good. Desi Walker, how you doing? Peace. Preach.
What's our?
What up, Star? Mr. Kevin Lee, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
Much. All right. Stephen E. Kimbrough.
Yes, the E stands for excellent. Don't you forget. How you doing, Carl? Good to see you.
You need lighting. You're dark, man. You're black, and you're making it worse by being in the dark.
All right, hold on.
You gotta work.
Well, continue talking about yourself.
And yeah, we met him yesterday. Ty Lewis, Uber producer from LA, is joining us today on our topic. We're talking about hip hop and yesterday's music. So there's a comparison. Not that all of today's music is bad. I think I'm echoing on somebody's. Is that you, Steve? Like I can hear myself repeat. Okay. Mr. Ty Lewis is joining us today from LA. He's a producer, movie producer out in LA, award-winning producer, and he's joining us today to talk about hip hop, R&B, and old school music. So that's our topic for today. So thank you for joining us on the 5BlackComics. And if you saw the videos that I showed at the beginning of the show, you can see there's a huge comparison. I'm of the opinion you don't have to be vulgar to sell music. I'm not sure why. I don't know if Cardi B changed the lyrics to her song instead of there's some holes in that house. I saw a guy did a parody. There's some chores in this house, and he did a little video with him making his kids do stuff around the house. There's some chores in this house. There's some chores in this house. And it was funny and it was fun and the music was there. It made you dance. So I don't know why we feel we have to go that low to sell music. I don't know if you have to. From what I've heard, the powers to be, the owners of the record companies and whoever fronts the money for this kind of music, they insist that the artists put out this kind of music because that apparently is what makes the money. But I think it's the music that makes the money. It's the music that gets people on the dance floor. So I'm gonna go to Tanya first, and you tell me your thoughts on the yesterday's music. You saw the Stylistics, you saw Anita Baker. They sold millions. They continue to tour today. Can you imagine Megan Thee Stallion touring 30 years from now? Yeah, you know how you know how public radio or public TV have these back in the time shows where they show the Stylistics and the Temptations. You know, they all come out and people still want. You think somebody would still want to go to a Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion concert 30 years from now? Your thoughts, anyway.
As far as going to her concert in 30 years, I don't see it, but I have seen people have great growth, and so if she grows with the time, maybe so. Couple more butt lifts, maybe so. I don't know. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't particularly love that genre of music because I don't like anything that degrades women. Unless it's like, I mean, I know it's artistical stuff, but I personally believe that is all subliminal messages to my children. So I don't let my children watch Megan Stallion. And they're older now, but when they were younger, there's no way you could watch you can't even watch TV in my house. That was a wrap because I'm very big on images. And the reason why I like old school music versus current stuff today is because when you saw the video there, I forgot what group that was that you just played, but they were doing more of a homage to love and to women and to life or whatever. Or even even take somebody like Marvin Gaye. He was talking about what was going on in the world, and it's almost like a singing rap in my head. So that's okay. But I think when I have women, showing their butts and gyrating, to me, for me as a woman, as an African American woman, it just annoys me because now I got to live up to that expectation. So when I walk down the street or I go somewhere, or if I try to be a singer, I got to come in the game as a hoe. Excuse the expression. That's basically what I got to come in as. There's no me coming in with my suit, all modest. The only person that got away with that pretty much was Janet Jackson. She was coming with the big jackets. Remember the jackets back in the day? But it's just the images for me is very what's the word? It's very hard for me to stomach. Not forget the lyrical content. That's a whole that's the real beast. Is that also what they're saying is like everybody's dependent on some guy, and like, you know, you got to suck this and do this and do that. It's like, what is that about? Like, what are you saying? You're not even saying anything relevant. So I don't like a lot of today's music, especially I call it rap. I don't call it hip hop. I call it rap. I mean, you're just saying some words to a beat. So that's what I call that. And it's no disrespect to anybody. It's not the same. And I used to work in the industry in the 90s. It's not the same to me at all. And if you don't have something good to say, why are you saying anything at all is my theory. But don't let me tell it.
Desi, you're next in line as I look at my board. You know what? I don't see, and I could be wrong, but I'm thinking, are there any white artists that is doing this kind of music and these kind of lyrics? Do they have to do that to sell? You know what I mean? And I'm trying to think if there's any white artists out there, or any Asian artists, or any, you know what I mean, Latino artists that's putting out this kind of music and these kind of lyrics. Mm-hmm. You know,
if you consider Slim Shady, who's a white guy, he's putting out this type of music. So yeah.
Oh, he has. I haven't.
But he doesn't have girls shaking in his video.
No, he have girls shaking his videos, but his lyrics, you know,
his lyrics are like
very, very, very much so. His lyrics are
he does talk about popping drugs. Yeah, maybe he does.
I mean, he talks about a lot of stuff, suicide and all sorts of things. He's a brilliant rapper, to be honest. But brilliant rapper, amazing rapper. But yeah, his lyrics is not something you want your teenagers to listen to, but they do. You know,
they do.
So
okay, I just never. But sorry, Desi, I was going to go to you. What are your thoughts, Des?
Well, direct answer your question. Yes, this style of music, hip hop specifically, is originated with us, and has been copied all over the world. We do have artists of all races and nationalities, and they all do hip hop. Kevin was right on the ball with someone who is controversially but considered among the best, which is Eminem, which I think he's really good on music.
Daisy, did you go? Did you move dance?
Can you hear me?
Now
we can.
Oh, you couldn't hear me before?
No, we got to Kevin.
And you still got that cyborg thing on your face.
Oh, okay. Let me turn off this back.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, what I was saying is basically there is hip hop originated with the African Americans here in the United States, but it's pretty obvious that it's been copied and duplicated all over the world. We see a lot.
We just lost
controversial. Eminem is controversial. You can't hear me?
No. First you were looking like a cyborg. Now you're sounding like one.
Okay, go to someone else. Let me put my earphones on.
All right, so Steve Kimbrough, you're next in line. What do you think of I know Kevin mentioned Eminem, but it seems that we have more of that style of rap on our side than they. But Gina Fiore, our super fan, said yes, country artists and a few Italian rappers. Do any guys know an Italian rapper?
There is one, but
I'm gonna put you up and put you in the trunk. That's Italian rap. I don't know. I have never heard a country artist with lyrics like "my neck, my back, lick my and my crap." I gotta look it up, but I've never heard it. Steve, what do you think about hip hop influence on the on Black culture and the Black community? And is it hurting us? Helping us? It's not all bad, but do we need it?
No, I think it has enormous impact on our culture. As we know, the global effect of what comes out of the African American community, music, film, and art is a very influential, very impactful thing. And because of that, it's a very powerful thing. So hip hop, well, actually African American culture as a whole has always been a double-edged sword. On one side of the sword, we're able to reach every corner of the globe and be influenced and be influencers of our images. But on the flip side of that, if we're not the ones in control, or if we're not the ones who are the gatekeepers of what the art we want to represent, and it's pushed out as the negative side of our culture, and that's the side that's most sensational, and that's the side that's most dramatic, then we're going to be perceived negative side of that sword. And I think what's happening in our day and age is everything has to kind of take full force, because we weren't allowed to be in music, then all of a sudden we are in music, and then we were denied where we could have our music, and then we splinter off and do our own music, and then that becomes like the norm. The gatekeepers want to pull the negative side of that music. That becomes new norm. And now we're like, wait a minute, there's more to African Americans than just like slapping pussy, pulling hair, and gacking people, which is all like keeping true to streets and who we are. But at the same time, we are a very sophisticated, evolved culture that is more than just the N-words and smacking ass and stopping wet peas. So I think we can take that influence, that global hip hop influence, and continue the hip hop movement, continue the culture that we that are true to ourselves, but elevate it. Like be a part of evolution in African American culture. And then that can be like a global stamp of who we really are. Oh, did I turn my phone off?
Hello, Seymour.
Kevin, just so you know, there was a rumbling noise, and when I muted you, it went away. So I don't know if that was. I'm gonna put Kevin back on.
Thank you.
All right.
You got the second part, Tanya.
All right. So, but Steve is saying, is it our? I mean, even though I don't agree with a lot of the lyrics, I'll admit I still like some of the songs, even though the lyrics are horrible. I still like the music. But is it our fault, or can we change the way people think about us as a community? You think that even if we did not have those kind of songs and that kind of lyrics in the song coming from the Black community, would that change?
Yeah,
would that change anything? I mean, does it make it worse?
No. Here. Think about the paradigm. Think about the dynamics of our cultural arts. Okay. Think about the dynamics of cultural arts in any culture. It's always the music that has made the change in the political status. It's always the music that has made a change in any institution. It's always the music that has made a change in any movement. So that same powerful tool has been able to influence how people can think about us. Now, I'll give you this. If we were to have 100 hip hop artists all of a sudden just flip and just every lyric was about not using the N-word on each other, that would be the culture. That would be hip. You have white boys in the hood doing lyrics about how we shouldn't be using the N-word. And it would have the same impact on the reverse as it does now. And then 20 years later, if we want to bring back the N-word and we have brothers and Eminem's putting it back in the lyrics, then we right back with the N-word again. So it's the movement of the art that's what's going to dictate what we do. And it doesn't matter negative or positive. If we have enough people doing it, that's where it's going to go. So I think our music and our culture is so powerful. I mean, think about it. The worst part of our culture is so popular. We got 6-year-old girls singing the lyrics of WAP, and the moms think it's cute. So Like, if we can do that, if we can get 6-year-old girls singing the lyrics of WAP from our music, we can do the reverse of that on any level.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Ty, I'm going to go to you next. What are your thoughts on the effects of hip hop? Well, what you saw Louis Farrakhan when in his little speech, he said, "We call our women bitches and hoes, and then we get an award, and we say, I want to thank Allah, Savior Jesus Christ, and the white man is rewarding you for your degradation." Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think Black culture is one of the most dominant, powerful cultures on the planet. Everybody wants to come out in some way, shape, or form, and monetize it to the best of their ability. But the downside of that is people can hold out the negative parts of us. And then people who haven't made it yet think that's what they need to do. That's the blueprint to becoming successful. So, like, if you look at this in film, Cecily Tyson just passed away, rest in peace. Her big movement was, I can be an A-list actor without having to take my clothes off. And he was pushing that for her entire career. Angela Bassett, same thing. Angela Bassett was the same way, did the same thing. So I think we need to understand how powerful we really are. And I think we let too many guests into our house. And then the guests started defining what we eat for dinner, how we dress, and how we move, and how we make money. And we let all these guests come in, make the culture, lead it astray, and then get out and make all their money. There's so many examples of this, right? We don't have to be negative. I think as a culture, we take in too many negatives. Our music's negative. We refer to each other in a negative way. Real Housewives of Hollywood, loving hip hop, loving basketball, all these things. The women up there, bitch, 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 get my money, bitch. Why are you talking to me, bitch, bitch? How you, like, that's how they portray. And then you have girls, teenage girls, oh, I'm a boss bitch. I'm a bad bitch. I'm this bitch. It's like, but you're still a bitch. That's the underlying thing, right? So it's a powerful medium. And the thing is, the money is what's driving it. There's a lot of positive hip hop artists out there, but they're not getting the attention, they're not getting the shine, they're not getting the credibility because the formula is Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B. And then people want to praise that. And I say, okay, what's the white equivalent to Megan Thee Stallion? There isn't one. Why? Because they don't need one. Because they know they can sell without it. Just like if you watch the movie, like I watched Independence Day the other day. Oh, it's Vivica Fox and stripper. What did that have to do with the story in any way? They knew they could get away with it. They knew it'd be acceptable to put her in a negative light. She accepted it, and then they pushed it. That had nothing to do with the story. Same thing with hip hop. You're seeing 13-year-old kids who grew up, black kids who grew up in the suburbs, talking about shooting people, catching bodies, getting bagged, drinking lean, getting lit. That's not their life. But that's why you're seeing so many rappers making transition to movies, because they're all acting. That's all it is. They put on a persona, they act this way, and they do it for the money. Like, it's a very satanic, death-driven, negative culture that is more of the same, that keeps us in a negative state of mind, negative energy, and we keep reciprocating it. So I would ask, like, where's Miley Cyrus right now? She used the culture, got out, went to country music, changed her look, made a statement and said, oh, rap music's too vulgar. It's too disgusting. I can't deal with it. Justin Timberlake, same thing. What is Kid Rock doing right now after he made money pouring out the culture? Making country records, singing Republicans, talking about drinking whiskey. Same thing. Everybody comes into the culture, the guests come in, break the culture, redefine what it is, leave, get all they can from it, and now it's just a shell of itself. The black and brown people leading the representation of this negative influence.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I can't disagree with anything. I'm going to go to Preach next. I mean, I think in my opinion, it's the music that brings people in. It's the music that lures people in. I mean, Houdini, who the lead singer, one of the members of Houdini passed away, and I was really sad. But I mean, they had that song "Friends." How many of us have them? I mean, there was no swearing. Run DMC, Curtis Blow. You know what I mean? None of those guys swore at all, and it still packed the dance floor. Still sold millions of records. You know, so if all the black artists today decided to get together and say we are not doing that anymore, the record industry would have to buckle. They would have to buckle. You know, I'm gonna go to you, Preach Nez. What are your thoughts on the music?
Yeah, I agree. Number one, you're dating yourself, and us. If we agree with you, I'm talking about Houdini.
What do you mean? We're all in.
I know exactly. Huh?
I'm not dating myself.
I said you're dating yourself, and all of us, if we agree with you.
All right.
I know exactly. I used to love Houdini. Anyway, but it is in the music. But if you look at today's music and some of the artists that are doing things different, Chance the Rapper, who won a Grammy as an independent. Okay, he didn't sign to a record label. He didn't have someone telling him what kind of music to write, you know, or what lyrics to put in. He said, "I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do this for myself, and I'm going to be in control of my music, own my masters, own all my songs." And he won a Grammy. But that was after they finally got to the point where they were like, "Okay, we're going to allow independents in the Grammys," because they weren't for a long time. You know, they weren't allowing independent artists in the Grammys, or they weren't looking at their sales or the, you know, or the recordings that they made. They weren't counting them at all. He changed that. So that's one step. So as other independents, you know, start to do that, that's less power for the record label. They're not going to be out of power. I mean, because they still own a lot of things. But music has changed as how people get their music now. I remember having to save up and go, "Oh, I'm going to buy that new record by Houdini. I'm going to go down to the store and get the 40, you know, the long playing one." And you get your money, you go down to the store. Now you're streaming it, you download it, it's on podcasts. You know, you're getting a lot of different ways. So I think that's changed the industry as well.
Okay. I mean, I think as a whole, you know, if like Ty was saying, we allow people to come into the culture, to the black culture, and do whatever, you know, start as I mean, this started back in the day with Elvis Presley and all those white artists. What's the name of the artist that did all the Little Richard songs?
Pat Boone.
Pat Boone. You know, they come in. But even though white artists are coming into the black culture and doing the music, they're still not degrading white people, right? I mean,
no,
they're not coming in and calling themselves rednecks or crackers. Is there a white rapper that is singing about calling other white people crackers or rednecks or whatever, honky? Is there a white artist that's, you know what I mean? I know there are some white artists doing it, but we seem to take joy in, you know what I mean, and as the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, degrading ourselves, you know. Kevin Lee, I'm going to go to you next, brother. What's your thoughts on the...
Everybody already stepped on my toes, and I got to think everything now.
Yeah.
Everybody pointed out something I was going to say. So. I was like, "Oh, okay." He stole me. All right, so yeah, man, I agree with what everybody said, because I was going to basically say what everybody said, but I think can everybody hear me? Okay, I'm actually doing this show from my car because
I noticed when you close the roof.
ADT is working in the house. The alarm's going off, and trying to get the house.
Hey, Charlene Ford.
Trying to get the house set so Proud Boys can't get in. So,
and steal the hat. He didn't want the Proud Boys coming in and stealing the hats.
My hat collection. Yeah, man. I mean, but we got to look at the positive side as far as artists, and not just hip hop, but I mean, we're brilliant people. We have positive artists. You know, we have Patti LaBelle, and we have Gladys Knight, and we have BB King. I mean, we have all these people. They're not hip hop artists, but we have amazing Marvin Gaye's of the world and Dinah Ross and all these people. We have Motown, and I mean, we have African Americans. Like, if you just take away our music, period, from the world, what would it be? I mean, can you imagine a world without Michael Jackson and Prince's catalog? You know, I mean, getting off. I mean, I know shows about hip hop. I'm just saying, overall, we've contributed so much positive music to this thing. So yeah, hip hop kind of went down the road of, but it wasn't always that way, as everybody pointed out. You know, with Heavy D and LL Cool J and all these guys back in the day. You know, New York rappers, they didn't rap about bitches and hoes. They rapped about partying and stuff like that, and gold chains and things like that. And then, you know, the gangster rap got big, you know, and a lot had to do with NWA coming out in '90s, early '90s with what they came out with, you know. And we know why they came out with it. You know, they're rapping about their situation out in California, you know, and their experiences with the cops, and they put it on vinyl, and gangster rap became overnight sensation, you know. Then you had the whole Miami thing with the 2 Live Crew, you know, when they came out with big booty shaking videos, and how that became a big thing, you know. I mean, we had black Congress people like Maxine Waters. I mean, they were trying to take 2 Live Crew down, you know. they wanted, you know, because they wanted that music off the airwaves. And BT made a killing off of these booty shaking videos. They had, like, at midnight they ran 2 hours of it, you know, of soft porn, hip hop booty shaking videos, you know. They used to come on at midnight, and just 2 Live Crew and all these other groups like that from the dirty South, you know, doing all. So you had the gangster rap, you know, that originated on the West Coast. You know, then New York had to answer that, and that's when Biggie, you know, came, you know, into, you know, fruition with his New York version of, you know, answer to LA, you know, to LA's gangster rap, you know. Biggie was that answer, you know. But, you know, I think, like Ty pointed out, these guys are actors, you know. Tupac really wasn't a gangster, you know, but he was a gangster on vinyl. But we see what that got him, you know, trying to be a gangster, got him killed because he wasn't really a gangster, even though that's all he rapped about was being a gangster, you know. I mean, he had some positive rap. You know, we all know Tupac was torn. He had his positive rap, and then he had his glorifying gangster rap, you know. He had Thug Life tattooed on his chest, right? On his belly. So a lot of these guys, man, what I see, a lot of these guys who made millions off of making kids or showing kids it was cool to walk around with your pants sagging down and all that stuff. These guys are now fathers, you know, and they don't do that anymore. You, like I said, you see P. Diddy now, or you see Nelly, or any of these guys now. They're decked out in the best suits money can buy. I don't remember the last time I seen Nelly with his pants sagging, but all his hits, he had sagging pants in every hit that he ever did. But now he's a businessman, you know. Yeah,
50 Cent. Every time I see 50 Cent, he's in a suit. Jay-Z.
But these guys made all their millions with that image of being a gangster, you know. And all the kids, you know, whole generation grew up want to be like them with the sagging pants and the thug glorifying and all that sort of stuff. But these guys, they don't even do that anymore. They're now businessmen. Jay-Z is a billionaire. Jay-Z's a billionaire. You know, I believe Dr. Dre from LA is a billionaire. You know, so yeah, these guys are we already know Ice Cube is now a movie producer. You know, these guys have moved on to the corporate world and left a whole generation of kids wanting to be thugs. You know?
Yeah, Anthony Robertson made a good point. He said artists don't have to depend on record companies anymore. No. If you're good at your craft, social media, you can get your music. You can get your music out. So, begs asks the question. So, why do they continue to do it? Tanya, you have an answer?
I do, but I want to respond to something Kevin said too, as far as history. But first, I'll address that so I won't forget. The reason why they do it, like the gentleman Ty said, it really is all about the Benjamins, money, period. So with that being said, if you have the talent, then why do you let record executives? Because this is what happens. This is what happens. If I come in as an artist and I'm Tanya Schmo, whatever, and I'm, the best singer in the world, whatever, and you sign me, you have to go through a series of like A&R has to do your, like, how are we going to promote you? What are we going to look like? And what's your image and your sound? And then comes the next phase of making the song, and blah, blah, blah. And they guide all that. They guide it. But at some point, I believe that you have the choice as an artist to say, no, I'm not putting the flower pot on my head because that doesn't make sense. But most people say, how much that check says? Oh, what you want, a flower pot? I got it. What else you need me to do? That's what I think happens is the money gets to talking, and then you think like, I got to pay these bills and I got to do that. So you just do whatever you think is good, but you're not thinking about everybody else who's gonna know and remember your image. Like Michael Jackson, thank God, in my opinion, I will always remember him as trying to big up the culture and people in general. I'll remember him for that. But there's other people who, as soon as you say their name, like Cardi B, I'm gonna be thinking of, I remember when they used to take that woman slave, she had the big butt, and they used to put her in the auction block and have people do prices like, who's gonna take her? Look at her body. Because that's why I personally don't like all the butt injections, because I'm like, are you really doing what was done to us when we got over here? We were put on auction blocks and made to be looked at and clawed at and say, yeah, look at her. Let's look at her butt and look at her lips and look at her this. So to me, I don't like that. But
Can I say something real quick?
Artists have the control, and they need to take back the control, because those executives, at the end of the day, they don't care about our image and our kids seeing our image. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
I just want to say, and that goes even into the comedy industry. When I taped Def Comedy Jam back in 1992, I mean, we were told, it was made clear that we had to be dirty. Mm-hmm. We couldn't go on Def Jam and do a clean set. Mm-hmm. We were told we had to be, R-rated, hardcore. Mm-hmm. So if you had a clean set, you ain't doing it on Russell Simmons' Def Comedy Jam. So I mean, so there's a black producer telling, black comics to be, filthy, but I know the industry, as far as what I'm trying to say is artists were told to be the gangster rap was forced down, was basically, you were told to be a gangster. Yes. I mean guys like Common's not going to never sell what Eminem sells,
No.
It's just not going to happen.
Buy into it.
No, because he's too intelligent for that. Well, his rap is too intelligent, so he's not going to hit the widespread masses.
But that's sad, though. So people don't want to hear intelligent brother like Common. Maybe rather you want to hear Eminem talking about tying a rope around the girl and throwing her off the bridge, than a brother rapping. And that goes back to society, though. That's society's fault.
Yep.
We can't blame everything on producers, because that's society's fault that they want to hear that.
Yeah, but think about this. They want to hear that, but it's also a pressure that the people come in. So if all 8 of us want to be, rappers, we're like, yeah, we're going to get in the game, blah, blah, blah. And then, you're the big time producer and we're all there and they listen to our music and they tell us, it's a little too, I don't know, it's a little too clean for me or a little too whatever. We have an option. You're right. I mean, it's my option to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Or, yeah, put me on. I don't care. I'm just whatever works. And that's usually how people do it. I mean, I'm the only work.
I mean, but we're like,
we've always been in a crossfire. I mean, going back to the beginning of cultural arts, Black people have always been in a crossfire between who's the gatekeeper of how you're going to get more money and who's the gatekeeper and how you're going to get more fame. Because I was one of those comics throughout my career. Now, granted, I've probably been doing it, maybe longer than a lot of you. I've been in it like 35 years. So I've got a chance to see the evolution of Black comedy and entertainment for 3 decades. But you have people who like, okay, Kimbro, we want to book you, but we don't want you to do any of that Def Jam shit. You know, we want you to be, you know, like more crossover comedy. And then, you know, you go and you book another club and it's all a Black Def Jam club. And they're like, we don't want that stuff. We want you to keep it real. You know, we want you to get down with the Def Jam. And so whoever the gatekeeper is that's paying you the money is basically how you're going to adapt. And now, are you keeping it real by flipping the coin back and forth between the crossfire? Well, as a professional, you're not, because you're about making the money. So if you want me to do, you know, sock puppet material for the Elks Club in Appleton, Wisconsin, then yeah, I'm getting paid. I'm gonna do that set, and they're gonna love it. And then I'm gonna go to Detroit. I'm gonna get down with the Def Jam. Now, is the Def Jam set my true calling? Is that where I really am? No, not really. But because I know that's where I can get, you know, some of that Black money, and I'm a professional comedian, then sure, I'll go Def. Do I want to go on Def Jam on TV and establish myself as an international Def Jam comedian? No, I don't. So although I'm willing to do the local Def Jam for the money, doesn't mean that I'm looking to actually be a Def Jam comic. And there's nothing wrong with Def Jam comics or crossover comics. I'm just saying, as a Black entertainer, you're in a crossfire because you're expected to do both and you're expected not to do both. So what's keeping it real? You know, is it me doing crossover comedy for the cruise ship, keeping it real, the real Kimbro? Or is it me doing Def Jam is the real Kimbro? Well, the real Kimbro is the professional comic that is willing to adapt to my show to get paid on the professional side. On the career side, I want to be that clever, witty, smart, intelligent Black comic. It's not happening or not doing death. That's not talking about my dick or
Steve, let me jump to Desi because he started and he has some audio issues and he hasn't gotten a chance to speak again. Go ahead, Des.
All right, can we hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay, Des.
I think what we got to do as 5BlackComics, first of all, we have to get context on what we're talking about. Specifically, when it comes to music, you can't really look at the music that's currently out. You have to give yourself a period of time, because what happens is every few years, there's only a few songs that stand the test of time that are considered good quality songs. So when we think about the 80s hip hop that we all love, we love Heavy D, we love LL Cool J, and all the artists. Everybody has their special artists, but there were a lot of crappy artists that put out a lot of junk. We're just not remembering it. Right now, we got the same thing. We got a lot of crappy artists putting out junk, but you got to remember, you got Kendrick Lamar, you got Black Thought, you got a lot of new rappers that are really good, putting out good quality stuff. It's just that what's banging this week might not be something we can relate to or like, but what happened the whole year, there might be one artist that stands out that's positive and good. Also, in the context of white supremacy, this is what we got to consider. Under white supremacy, what is being promoted, being supported? We, as Black people, have to decide what we're going to support and what we're going to promote. And we can't allow anymore, because of the internet age and because we download our music, we can't allow anybody to tell us what's hot and what's banging. We have to make up our minds. What is productive? What are we listening to? What does it inspire us to do? If it doesn't inspire us to be productive and positive, we really got to throw it out. And that's that.
Yes. I want.
There's a lot of stuff though. When you talk about like the hip hop, now I don't know if anybody watched the Rhythm and Flow, which was a show which was equivalent to like your American Idol, was Chance the Rapper, T.I.
Hold on a second. If you're gonna talk, raise your hand so I know, because we have like Tanya was trying to talk and you were trying to talk. Okay. So just from now on, just raise your hand and say I want to speak, because you're kind of crossing each other.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, preach.
Yeah, Rhythm and Flow, which was a show similar to American Idol, but it was for rap artists, where T.I., Chance the Rapper, and Cardi B was, bringing rappers from all around and traveling across the country, finding rappers and, judging them and making them go through each round and trying to bring out, and they had an opportunity where they weren't trying to find, based on their talents and their skills, people that were making that, like, as you said, that kind of that garbage rap that's gonna not be heard of 10 years from now, that people aren't gonna be talking about.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of put it this way, the rappers today, here's the thing. I got to give respect for anybody trying. But rap to me, hip hop for me is important because it is, if we go from a historical perspective, it is something that we've actually done for centuries. It's from back in Africa, doing I call it orality, spoken word, has been a thing of ours. So that is true to our natural form. But what's happening now is it's being taken into some other level. It used to be done for kings in different parts of Sudan, Ghana, wherever, or different various parts of Africa. So it was a great thing. But now it's turned into like talking about, hoes and the B word and whatever else, which is nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It was used to pass information on. And it was a great way to get people involved and to remember and record information. So I would like to see rappers think about what they're saying, like a KRS-One who does, and think of like, okay, somebody's going to hear this. And if you're already popular, like, what is it going to kill you to say the right thing? It's not going to kill. It's not like, oh boy, you're not going to sell any more records. If you're a DMX or you're a KRS, you already have your set people that are fans and loyal. You can say pretty much what you want to say. So if that's the case, then why not say something that's enlightening and positive, or at least put us in a decent light. But to keep adding on to these stereotypes for women, particularly for me, I'm very that's my big part is when I see a Cardi B or Nicki Minaj and all them, like, it's great. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm in the club, I will dance to the beat. I'm not gonna lie about that. That's true. But when I'm sitting down thinking, I'm like, I'm not going in the club, because if I go in the club, all the guys are going to be thinking that I got to have a big ass like that, excuse the expression, that I have to talk like that I have to be like that. I need the long weave, like it puts a stereotype into everyone's heads and minds. And even if you don't mean to, you may consciously say, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to think like that. But you can't help it. If you see beauty as only someone with a big butt and, long flowing hair, then when the other girl walks by, it's like, and you don't mean to do it, but it's a subliminal messaging, which is what's happening in the fashion world, the hip hop world. We can go forever, but especially with our music, our R&B artists, they're no longer, they used to sing to women. Now it's like, I don't know what they're singing to strippers now. And then you have the rappers. I don't even know what they're saying. They're all the gangster, what they call the lean sound is in. They're like, yeah, I'm talking like this. And it's like, I don't even know what they're saying. Half of them are drugged up on some kind of NyQuil, which is like, what are you saying? So I wish they would start thinking and of like, these kids are going to see me in 20 years. Did I say something that's memorable? That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. I mean, why does stereotypes stick to Black people? You know what I mean? Like, Madonna was out and she was, nobody saw another white woman thing and associated her with Madonna. But for some reason, I'm asking a question.
Actually, Carl, that's not true. I think Madonna influenced millions of kids. I mean, young girls all over the world wanted to be Madonna. Yes. And they got in trouble because they tried to dress like her. They wanted to be like Madonna. Had a major influence on young white girls all over the world. Yeah. And parents didn't like it at all, bro. Yeah. They didn't like it. Yeah, she was a major influence.
But I mean, like, somebody went and saw Megan Thee Stallion in concert, and then Tanya goes to work in the office, and some white dude happened to see Megan Thee Stallion's concert. He would think, he would associate Megan Thee Stallion with Tanya.
I've had it happen where people say, "Oh, why?" When we're at a party or something, a company party. Well, why don't you? Oh, when you twerk. And I was like,
right.
No, I don't know about that. Yeah. Where'd you get that from? Oh,
Yeah.
in the video.
Right. Yeah. So for some reason, the stereotypes seem to stick to us like gorilla glue.
But that's part of white supremacy. They have the power and they exercise it to tell you who you are and who you identify with. So Tanya, you're exactly right in rejecting that. That's how you stand up to white supremacy.
But I think.
Go ahead, Ty. Ty Lewis, you want to say something? Ty is frozen.
Yeah.
Steve, are you there? Are you frozen also? You got. It says Steve, but that's not Steve.
No.
It's frozen.
I have a guest who's the hip hop artist Dimrock. He's got a couple of comments if you guys want to hear what he has to say.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Dimrock.
Dimrock?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Speak a little louder.
Yeah, so I get a lot of comments about hip hop being to blame for what's the problem with the world. And my response is, where are the R&B artists that we used to talk about? R&B is taking the same hit that we're taking as rap artists. And I blame the industry, the record companies, because they're not signing positive artists. Artists don't have money. The record companies do. So when record companies are deciding who they're going to sign as artists, why are the record companies being so irresponsible as to sign artists who are putting out negative music? And the R&B genre is suffering the same blow. I can't really name one artist that actually stands out as a positive role model. Not that they're not out there, but they're not pushed to the forefront. There are a lot of positive artists, rappers, and any genre. There are positive artists out there, but it's the record companies in the industry that's pumping the negative artists. We don't have any control. Artists don't have any control over the industry whatsoever. So whatever's being heard over the radio waves and whatever's being seen on TV and music videos, the industry is responsible for it, and they're not artists. This is not an artist problem. This is an industry problem. And especially not a hip hop problem, a rap problem, because rap music is positive. Hip hop is a positive movement. It's been infiltrated. Okay.
So
I've been rapping all my life. I've been a rap artist since I was a teenager, and I've always made positive music. And record companies are not interested in me because I read contracts before I sign. And artists aren't reading it. They're only signing artists that don't read their contracts.
Right. Got it.
That's the problem. It's not the lyrics. It's not artists at all. They're being told what to do and told what to say. They're being told how to dance. They're being told what to think, just like any other brainwashed religion.
I mean, you dangle $1 million in front of a teenager and say, if you call your grandmama a bitch and a hoe on this record, you're going to get this $1 million. I guess. Go ahead, preach.
Go ahead. Ty was.
I was going to say it's kind of a cultural issue in terms of Black people and the way we get associated with things. Back to the Madonna point, they separated what she was doing and called it a cultural thing. Like she was evolving sexuality, and she attached herself to the LGBTQ community really early. So she always was engulfed in that protection, because pretty much she would do this. If you talked about how provocative her music was and her stylings and her clothes, then they would make it a cultural issue for the LGBTQ community and that whole thing. They would come out and say, oh, it's just her being expressive. It's art. But with us, we're supposed to be seen as monolithic, no variation. So that's why people will talk to Tanya in a negative way, because they see what's portrayed everywhere else. And that's just not
a fair thing. That's not. No one else has to deal with that except us. And then they push that culturally into the acting world, into the film world, into music. Meaning, we're the only race of people whose ethnicity is quantified.
We have 5 minutes left.
You hear our president come out and say, hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Chelsea Handler comes out and tells 50 Cent, you're a black man. You can't vote for Donald Trump. We're the only culture group or ethnicity or race that gets told what our blackness is and how it should be portrayed and what it should be. You never hear someone say, hey, you're not Chinese unless you do this. Right? So even throughout neighborhoods, growing up, it was the same type of deal. Oh, you don't wear these shoes or these clothes, you ain't black. You don't listen to this stuff, you're not black. Oh, you read these books and you sound this way, you're trying to be white.
Yeah, I was on tour. I have never watched Boys in the Hood, and somebody told me you ain't black until you watch Boys in the Hood. So go ahead. I just
well, that's actually true.
So we're the only ones who have to deal with quantifying our blackness and our ethnicity. So what do the people in the industry do? They use that against us. Oh, you don't like Cardi B? Oh, you're not black. Oh, you don't like Meg Thee Stallion? Oh, you ain't black. Oh, what's wrong with her exploring her sexuality? There's nothing wrong with that. She's empowered. So they come up with all these terms to derogatory, be very derogatory towards our black women.
Yes.
All right, we got 3 minutes left.
All these statements to do it, to hide it and mask it.
Who's next?
And then we keep perpetrating it. You know what I mean? Instead of us just saying, no, our black women shouldn't be this way. No, you shouldn't have to do this to make money. It's the same way, we talk about our young black girls and adultification. That's why our young black girls get treated a certain way. And it's all because of imagery. It's all because of agenda. It's all because of industry pushing that narrative. And I feel like we need to push back. We need to start turning our back to these types of artists, right? It's a lot of negative stuff when you hear gangster rap, gangster culture, and these types of things, who's being pushed. Like, how did Tekashi 6ix9ine become such a big thing?
Hello.
You understand? And the reason why there's no more R&B is because it's now called Blue Eye Soul. If you go look, that's the name of it. So basically, they pushed all the black people out saying anything positive and replaced it with Sam Smith, Adele, and go down the line, and now it's called Blue Eyed Soul. So you guys let all these visitors and guests come in. They took over your shit, kicked you out, redefined it, and called it something different, and nobody says anything. So when they start treating you negatively, not enough of us are saying anything. So that it's the status quo now.
All right.
That's how it's going to be until we decide, like, we're not having this shit anymore. Our sons are too valuable. Our daughters are too valuable. Get this shit off my radio. I don't want to see our girls like this. It's a cultural thing.
Desi, go ahead, Des. We got a couple minutes.
Just a quick point. One of the things, too, we got to consider, most artists, when they put out an album, they have a love, even rap artists, they have a love song. They have a gangster song. They have a party song. Maybe we're only talking about gangster negative song. I haven't listened to an album in a long time. But does anyone know if there's anything positive on any of these albums?
Which ones? On which albums?
Anybody, like say Cardi B.
No, there's nothing. Absolutely not.
That was quick. That was you was quick to the gun on that one.
And I scan because I work with young people, so I always want to be hip and know what's going on. No, there's nothing. No. Except for the fact, if you want to take the fact, and this is what they play on, she used to be a stripper, and now look at her. You want to play on that? That's something. That's what we got. You was a stripper, now you're a legit singer, and so now you just do it behind the scenes. But that's another story.
Well, the song she did with Bruno Mars was decent. That was she did to do it with Bruno Mars.
Yeah, I like that song actually.
Yeah, that was something your grandma, that's something your grandma could listen to. So.
Yeah, grandma could listen to that. Yeah, that's true. But can I leave with a trivia, Carl?
Your grandma said something, and she said, "But we buy the music."
Exactly, and that's
the music.
Yep. And that I'm sorry, I'm raising my hand. Sorry, I know we got to go, but that's the most important part is we're still supporting it, and it's like how do you stop it? I mean, quite frankly, I think even on the radios they say payola is gone, but I said no, it's not. Payola is very much real because if you turn on what is it, Hot 97 or what one of the states, Hot 97, one of those, whatever it is, who you will only hear Drake. You only hear what's the other guy? There's only like Future and
you hear the same 12 songs over and over.
You hear the same songs rotated for months. Like it's like, dude, are you kidding me? And I know payola supposed to have been stopped, but I want to put my money on it that somebody's still paying because the music is not even good and it sounds the same. It's like, who does this? But like Grandma said, if we buy it, guess what? They'll keep the record executives, which you have a great point. Thank you for pointing that out because I hate to be the one to bear bad news, but you are 100%. It is the executives who don't even make music, by the way, and they never made it famous. That's why they're out in this game trying to help other people allegedly, but it's really about money. They're the ones pushing and pimping the images that you see, but we buy it. And that's the sad part. Even the other day I saw Jaguar Wright. What's her name? The girl Tasha K, whatever her name is. She did a video about Jaguar Wright, who's making all these accusations about artists. You know what? You know how many people watch that? Even though to me it's total trash. You know how many people watch? Almost millions of people watched that trash, and it wasn't even good reporting. But you know what? They want to see crappy stuff. So that's Grandma. You got a good point. People are buying it.
Yeah. But there's decent R&B artists out there. I mean, you got Eric Benet and
Sade.
People like that, and Sade. I mean, Mary J. And Johnny Gill, and they put out great music and still, and I mean, so
yeah. Hopefully.
No, your grandma said all of us got to do better. I mean, we've said this on the show so many times. It's been said so many times before. Black people got to come together. We got to. But how do you tell a kid from, a Black community where he doesn't have a lot of money? I mean, you give him the option, hey, I'll give you $1 million if you call your aunt or your sister bitches and hoes. You know what I mean? And you got $1 million in this hand, and all he has to do is, spit these lyrics. What's he gonna do? You know
what he's gonna do, Carl? He's gonna spit. He's gonna spit those lyrics. He's gonna become a millionaire. Then he can become a billionaire, and his name's gonna be Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And he's gonna give back to the community and do a lot of wonderful things.
Yeah.
That we don't know about that he
does. That's
part of it. But that's also like if you remember when Prince wrote. Well, actually, when he changed his name to a symbol to get out of a contract with Warner Brothers, and then he wrote "slave" across his face because he said when you sign those type of contracts, you're basically their slave, and you're working for them. You're not owning your own masters. You don't get to, you can go out and do a concert, but if you sing those songs, you got to pay them to use your own songs. It's like, which is ridiculous. And he changed his name, and he won in court. They took him to court, and he actually won. And he became the symbol. And then when his contract was up, he changed it from the symbol back to Prince, and it was like, okay, now I own all my own shit.
Yeah. All right, let me read a comment here from Patricia Felix. She said, "This is not only contingent upon the hip hop culture; it has been the norm dating back to Reconstruction and the minstrel shows from the 1890s through vaudeville, from the Roaring '20s to the Jazz Age, into the present. We have been good enough to copy, but not good enough to be accepted." Right, which we were talking about a few weeks ago. I think it was during our pre-show. We were talking about blackface, how black people were not good enough to. I mean, you're black and you still had to put blackface on. So I'm not sure. Even 100 years later, we still feel that white people have the power, even though we're the one with the talent. We have the talent. So why don't we? Why don't we see that we have the power? Yeah, they might have the money, but we still have the talent. And in today's age. I know the brother was talking about the record industry, but we don't need them anymore, do we? I mean, I'm not a rap artist.
It's the gatekeepers. You got to replace. You have to replace the gatekeepers who dictate Who makes the decision? It's like a radio programmer.
Look at the guy that did Old Town Road. He put his song on TikTok, and he's at 1 million selling songs. So you don't really need the record industry. I don't know if you can blame them.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I mean, if somebody comes to us,
it's a new age. You don't need that stuff
this week
anymore
and say, "Hey,
because
check out the show, the
it's
5
so
Black
free.
Comics. I like the concept.
Yeah.
And we're going to pay you guys millions of dollars to put this show on the network, but you got to do a certain amount of different things in what you're doing. Then we got to make a decision. We're going to take this $1 million contract call, and all of us going to get $1 million to do the show, and do it the way Johnny Berg want us to do it, you know, or we're going to stay this format and stay on Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? So that happens, you know. And then, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we're going to go over to BT and do the show on BT Network if they offer us some big money to take the show there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I think Ty was saying it, but Kevin, I'm going to definitely show a little bit more leg. I'm joking. But Ty, Ty, you had a good point. I think at some point, I mean, with all the new mediums that are out there in the social media, TikTok, blah, 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 YouTube. I mean, there's so many more. Even the one you use, Stephen, there's so many platforms that there is no reason why you don't want to be on independent artists. Unless it's greed and like some fantasy in your head, there is no reason why you can't get it popping without all that extra gatekeeper stuff. Like, and in fact, you will show the gatekeeper and shut the gatekeeper down when you do like Tyler Perry kind of did and quietly built his own little thing and said, okay, you tell me I can't do this? Watch me. And now, while some people disagree and say, oh, well, he does all these stereotypes. Okay, that's fine. But guess what? He still did what he did, and he's doing something unusual. He made his own damn gate. So, and I don't know, you know, some people say, well, maybe he still might need a helping hand. Maybe he did, but it looks like he did the damn thing. And that's what we have to do. Take responsibility. I know, Kevin, take responsibility as an artist and say, I know that this is my talent that God gave me. So I'm gonna make it pop. And I'm gonna use all the sources that are available without the gatekeeper. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
I just want to say real quickly, I mean, you make a joke about showing the leg thing, but don't think that when we watch television, whether it's I don't know, the morning show on ABC or whatever, and you see the lady there with the miniskirt with her legs crossed, you know, don't think that's not by design, you know. That miniskirt has viewers. I know. People are tuning in, you know, because Kathy Levi has some long legs or something. I'm just saying, you know.
You're absolutely correct.
In, you know, guys, sex sells, you know. I mean, men are tuning in because of cleavage or long legs and whatever. So, you know, that's not that's by design. That's not just because somebody came to work today and she wanted to wear a nice skirt, you know.
No, absolutely.
It's called ratings.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we have to look at it from top to bottom in the middle. You know, it's like that interview video that you saw of David Bowie asking MTV why there are no black videos on MTV, and they came up with some half-ass excuse about their target market. It wasn't until a powerful record label that said, if you're not going to put Michael Jackson's video on MTV, we're going to pull all of our artists, which was half of the MTV lineup. And MTV was already losing money. So it's like we have to be Rick James and Michael Jackson and all of these black artists coming up from the streets. But there's also got to be, you know, the powerful people like David Bowie from the top. And then those middle gatekeepers who are the record labels who have the decision to pull other artists. If you don't put on people of color, that's the strategy that's going to take to make the movement work for us. So Tanya, you got a great point. We have all these social media platforms that we can come from the bottom, but that's not enough. We got JC at the top with billions of dollars who can trickle it down. That's not enough. We need to address top, bottom, and especially those gatekeepers in the middle, because they're the ones. And Dimrock had a comment that he wanted to make on it as well.
Well, I think the difference between an artist or somebody that works in the industry and somebody that just has an opinion about what's going on in music is the difference from the outside looking in is that it's kind of rap is kind of like dealing with a parent. You know, when artists go to record companies, they don't have the experience. They don't know what to expect other than their art to be recorded and make some money. That's kind of what their goal is. And you know, when artists are young, most artists are young. You notice they're signing all the young artists, so they don't really have that much direction. They look at these record companies as like a parent, and a responsible parent is going to allow the young person to do what's expected of them or what's allowed. You know, that's how the industry is like. It's like a parent. You know, they're only going to put out what's allowed, but you know, they're going to dictate what's being said and what's not being said. This is an agenda, and artists don't make the agenda. So we're experiencing an agenda, not rappers attacking the public and attacking women. This is an agenda, and the only people that are that they're pushing forward are the weak ones that. And not to say that they're bad people or anything, but you know, it's kind of like how they make criminals, how society makes criminals, how they make criminals with poverty. If you take a man who has a family, you take away his job, how's he going to feed his family? You know, you push him to the limit, and yes, he's going to commit a crime. He's going to steal. He's going to do whatever it takes to feed his family. That's kind of what the industry is experiencing. We've always experienced that. I've been told since I was a kid, oh yeah, all that positive shit, you know, they don't want to hear that. You got to kick some gangster shit. I've been told by rap artists, yeah, man, they said you can't be in the show because it's pimps only. Or it's gangsters only. You know, I've had to deal with that all my life, you know, and I don't worry about it because I'm not a pimp. I'm not a gangster. So I know I don't fit in. So I don't take offense to it. And so I look at it as any other genre. Look at the world. Don't point the finger at hip hop. Look at the world. What is the world? The world is violent. Hip hop is not violent. The world is. People are. You don't have to be an artist to be violent. You don't have to look at just a rap artist to see violence and copy it. You can look at it in any movie, any race, any genre of music. You know, we just the blame for everything. The artists, we as rap artists get the blame for what actually the whole world is guilty of. And I don't think it's fair.
Don't we have any control over anything? Don't we as Black people have any control at all? So we have no control, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we have self-control. We have self-control, but when you put any man in a position to where his options appear to be limited and dangerous, he's going to choose a dangerous option in order to survive. And that's the experience that we as artists have always been going through. You know, look at most artists that are famous and don't have money. It's because when they started in the industry, they didn't have any knowledge on how to make money. They didn't know anything about copyrights and publishing. You're dealing with inexperienced people. And then on top of that, you're being told what to say. You don't have any creative control. But these are things that we fight over. That's why Prince was fighting over creative control, so he can say what he wants to say. You think these artists have creative control? No, they're being told to say bitch. They're being told to be gangster. They're not gangsters. Most of these rappers, they're from little small towns and good cities, and you know, they come from good families. They're being told what to say under the threat of homelessness.
Basically, what he's saying is there's only one Cicely Tyson.
Well, no, I was going to say there's a couple people who I suspect are not doing that, and that's why they're being labeled something else. Let's talk about not talk about it, but just a brush. Dave Chappelle walking away from the $500 million. Lauryn Hill being labeled as crazy. But if you check her lyrics, you're like, she don't sound crazy to me. So there's people that walk away from the, you know, they may have been in it to win it, but then they were like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not all for this. And they walk away. So I think there's a couple out there that are like, no, I'm not doing that.
I think though, walking away when you got millions of dollars in the bank and walking away poor is two different things. Tanya.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I mean, Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million, but he also had $50 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
all right. That's
the big issue. The big issue is not that. It's a standard.
Yeah.
Like even when I started working in the film industry and entertainment, I told myself what my limits were and what my price was. So if the industry ever got more expensive than what I was willing to pay, I'm out. Period. Like I'm not playing the borderline games because I know the industry will use me up at any chance it can and then spit me out. Like everybody understands the belly of the beast. When you're in the belly, it's the sweetest part. You're Charlie Sheen making $2 million a week, living good. And then you piss the beast off like he did, give it indigestion, and shit you out. And then you run right back in front of the line and eaten by the beast again. But the problem is it's a standard. You can, like, I understand people say, well, it's hard to say no when you don't have money. Okay, that's fine. But then maybe you need to look at your outlets. Maybe you need to look at who are horizontal and vertical next to you. There's too many outlets, like between TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Apple TV. Like there's too many ways and avenues for you to get your stuff out. SoundCloud, like there's so many different avenues for you to take where the artists actually have more power than they realize. Like labels are almost becoming obsolete. Like fairly soon they're going to be obsolete and they know it.
Which is
so
good.
this is the thing. So like we've heard all these stories about labels taking advantage of people. So at some point, when is it to blame the people coming in? Do you understand? Like they don't just let anybody get behind the wheel of a car and drive. You got to have certification that says, "Oh, I could drive this vehicle."
Right.
When you come to the music industry, you know there's certain things that are going to be expected, and you got to be the one to say this ain't it, and walk away. Like there was a young woman who walked away from a Netflix deal that was $1.5 million because they wouldn't give her creative control. She bounced. A month later, got offered $2 million from somebody else because that's the thing they don't like. I think just black people in general have a hard concept. Like it's a hard concept for them to take in, meaning your value is extraordinary. Your worth is extremely high. People want to be like you just existing. There's people in China and Japan purposely kinking their hair to do what you do naturally. There's girls getting plastic surgery to have hips like Tanya, to have a face like Tanya. Like there's girls out here torturing themselves to have it. So our image is powerful and we can dictate pop culture. We tell people what's cool. All these white artists have swagger coaches. That's young black coaches that are next to them that tell them how to dress, tell them how to walk, tell them how they're supposed to be. Justin Bieber had 3 of them. This dude was caught using the N-word, singing it in a song when he was young. Called one of his swagger coaches the N-word to his face. And what happened? Threw some money at him, and the kid came back and kept teaching him how to be cool and urban and hip. Miley Cyrus, same thing. And when you watch these white singers, look at who's in the background. It's usually Asian women, Hispanic women, and black women leading the charge, teaching them how to dance, and the ones wearing less than nothing. Taylor Swift made fun of black women with hoop earrings and short shorts and a halter top, and this was supposed to be what hip hop culture is, and her video Shake Off. This is like that's the opinion of what we're doing, but people have to line up to take those parts. That's the problem. Like we don't let ourselves get portrayed like that, we won't be seen like that. But because people are lining up to be portrayed like that, they're like, okay, this is what these people accept. This is what these people like. So this is how we're going to treat these people. Because we don't raise the bar. We don't say no because we have a price and then they pay it and then we do it. I say take the price off the table.
One of the biggest problems too is that, and I'm sure we all can attest to this, fame is intoxicating.
It's addictive too.
I had a taste of it when I was in New York City. A taste of fame. I mean, I was sitting at a table with Britney Spears and the producer for the Tonight Show when Jay Leno was on there. and people were coming up, and you see people. I mean, fame is intoxicating. Like, you know, it feels like somebody say, "Can I have your autograph?" You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why? You know what I mean? It feels good. It really feels good. So I think that's a huge part of it for these artists, because a lot of them will go out and sing, and they don't care about the money that they're making or not making. All they know is they got thousands of people screaming their name and, falling over for them, so they forget about the money part of it. That's why they end up poor. But I'm just saying that fame is intoxicating. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with, everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be known. You look at TikTok or Facebook, and you see people just pick up a phone and just do stupid shit. They just do dumb shit, just to be out there, just to be so, just so people can say, I saw you on Facebook or I saw you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Fame is very intoxicating. So, I mean, we ran over today, but that's not a big deal. We shoot for an hour every Saturday. I told these guys we got to do an hour and a half show. They say no, we got to stick to an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say if we can get to final thoughts, because I've got some other programs I got to get up and run.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with you. I'm going to start with you, Steve, since you have to run. Your final thoughts on.
I think this was a very awesome, provocative, informative show. I really learned a lot from different points of views, and I think the approach is, what Dimrock what he said is hip hop is about positive music, has always been, and it would always stay that way had it not been influenced by gatekeepers, industry, and people who want to define how they want us to be and look and sound. So I think we should take that back from top, middle to bottom. And we all meet in the middle, and we decide who we want to be, and we make that happen.
All right, thanks, brother. Preach, I'm going to go to you next. And Preach, before we wrap up, can you get the calendar so I can give a rundown of the shows we have coming up?
Absolutely.
Not right now, but your final thoughts, and then I'll come back to you for the calendar.
All right. I have both of them at the same time. Anyway. Yeah,
I want to do.
It's been a lot of stuff. I know when the Sugar Hill came out with hip hop, I know they had intentioned one thing, and it has morphed and changed over the years. And as he mentioned it, every few years, every decade, you can go back and say, hey, these are the artists that defined hip hop during that time, because those are the ones we're still listening to. There's a lot of bad ones. It's been watered down, like they said about comedy. When you were doing comedy on Tuesday at your Applebee's, it was watered down a little because you have people on stage that shouldn't have been on there. And I think it's the same with hip hop. There are people out there making songs, making records, making music that shouldn't be. And hopefully, as the time moves on, they're just gonna fade away, just like the Applebee's comedy night faded away, and people that are up there, talking about the Applebee's comic, they faded away, and you'll get to the pure music that lasts.
All right, Tanya, I'm going to go to you next, then Desi, then Kevin. Go ahead, Tanya.
So my thing is this: we have to stop having a price tag. And I know because I used to work in the addiction field, and I say drugs are not the only thing that's addictive. Just to let you know, money's very addictive. It's all in serotonin. It's like, ooh, you get $1 million, you're like, oh, I need 2 million. You get 2, you want 6. So we have to have a standard, is what I say. And especially for me as a woman, I always had to have a standard. When I used to model in the 80s, I never made it to Naomi Campbell status, none of that. But when I modeled, I had choices to make, hard choices. Like, am I going to be Naomi Campbell? And am I going to do the things that she probably had to do to wherever, and all these big girls had to do to be who they are? I wasn't willing to do that because I had a standard. And mine's is a backstory to it that I want to go into. But you have to have a standard, basically, and you have to say, do I have a price tag? No, I don't have a price tag. I can honestly say, as a human being, I do not have a price tag. And people have tested me, trust me. Oh, yeah, well, why don't you be my girl? I'll give you $2,000 a week, or I'll give you. Nope, I don't have a price. You can't name nothing high enough. You can give me a yacht. And if it's not in my standards, I'm not doing it, because I have 2 daughters that need to look up to me and have to know that, oh, they're not going to hear like, yo, your mom was out here tripping. They're never going to hear that about me. Never. Not. Excuse me. As long as I'm in my right mind, how about that? They're not going to hear that from about their mother, because that's my standard. You have to have a standard, and especially when God gave you a talent and a skill or a gift, and you out here crazy and reckless with it. What? Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's when you get stuff taken away from you. Look at all the artists who was here and then got dropped down to here. You cannot. You have to have a standard. That's what I'm going to end it with. You have to have a standard, and don't undermine being an independent artist. If you have a skill, a talent, a gift, whether you're a comedian, a singer, whatever, rapper, whatever, there are so many platforms. Like, there's no excuse for you to be saying, "Oh my God, I couldn't sign with Polygram because they didn't like my music." If that's your gift that God gave you, and you know that people like feel this thing when you sing or when you rap or when you do your comedy, that's your gift. Like, dude, like nobody can tell you, nobody can take it away from you, and nobody can tell you what to do with it. You chose to give it away and give it to the executive and say, "Okay, Mr. Manager, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to eat some bonbons for this?" Like, no, you have to decide, are you going to show it? I'm not showing leg. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? And today I'm not wearing a wig or weave because I don't feel like it. Now, tomorrow I might change my mind, but I'm not doing it because you tell me I'm going to get a contract. I'm not doing it. So make a standard. That's it.
All right. Desi?
Shout out to hip hop and all the artists that do make it good and productive. I tried to be a rapper when I was younger, but I couldn't get elementary type rhymes. I'm in the place to be, and you can see. I just want to say thank you all for tuning in and watching us. We appreciate you. Hope we found this subject productive, and thank you for listening, and talk to you later.
All right. Mr. Kevin Lee.
I have listened to hip hop, every kind of hip hop you could think of, man. I'm old school, 56 years old, so I grew up with, Kool Moe Dee and all them people, man. I listened to all that stuff growing up, and then, I've listened to Biggie enough where my ears will explode. So it didn't change me. You have to be who you are. I mean, you can listen to artists talk about sag their pants or shoot somebody with their gack or smoke a joint. I've never sagged my pants, never had a gun, never smoked a joint, never popped no crystal. So, I mean, I listen to this music. I listen to what they say, but I understand it's music, and that's just it. It's music. So I think, people get influenced by it, the negative hip hop people get influenced by, some of the gangster stuff that comes out, whatever. But it's just music. So I think parents need to raise their kids better, not to be so heavily influenced by music. That's all. I think it starts in the home. I mean, I don't know if my mom did something different than anybody else's mom, but I was never affected by music to go out and do, gangster shit just because I'm listening to gangster rap, when I was younger. So it is what it is, man. But show was good. And I just want to say, once again, rest in peace to Cicely Tyson, who did it her way. She did it her way. She didn't do it. She lived that standard that Tanya was talking about. And what the guest was talking about as far as just not, being a whore and wearing a mini skirt and the booty shorts and taking certain roles and doing certain things. She is a perfect example of a person who says, I'm not going to, do this. I'm not going to work if I have to, So Robert Townsend once said, is work at the post office. So you don't have to sell your soul to the devil.
That's right.
Yep.
Unless you want to be famous. You don't have to sell your soul to the devil unless you want to be famous. And that goes out to all the artists out there. You gonna sell your soul to the devil, or I mean, like you said, we all been in a position where we probably could do things to get a little further in our career that we haven't done. I mean, sleep with certain people, do certain things, and you can get to the next level. Like other artists have. Some of it's luck and some of it's selling the soul. So it is what it is. But it's been a good show. Thanks for everybody for watching.
All right, man. Ty, you want to take us out with your final thought?
Sure. I'm just a firm believer that us as Black people can control our own narrative if we just apply ourselves and commit to it. Like this is, I've told this before, but this is how I look at Black people just in the US and how we operate. We're grizzly bears and there's a dead deer in front of us and we're starving. We're hungry. And we're about to eat, and before we eat, we turn to a rabbit and ask the rabbit, what should we do about our hunger? So it's never in the rabbit's best interest to ever let you learn how to eat on your own, because you're going to devour the whole forest. And that's where we're at. We have these claws, these fangs. We have all the talent. We have all the swag. We have the lips, the hips, and the stuff that drives everybody crazy, that wants to be like us, emulate us, talk like us. Kids in Wisconsin want to sound like somebody from Compton.
Yep.
And that's the powerful thing. We dictate everything that happens in the culture. We are the pulse of what people wear, what they dress, how they do their hair. Like, cornrows will always be cornrows, but white girls get it now, and it's called boxer briefs. You see what I mean? So like, they take our stuff, rename it and repackage it, and then redistribute it as something original. When I was growing up poor, bologna sandwiches are like 50 cents. Like a month ago, I went to this food truck, $15 bologna sandwiches. Go try and buy oxtails and see how expensive they are. You understand? That's like, people don't understand how that translates to Black culture in this American wilderness. They are taking our stuff, redistributing it, and charging triple for it.
Yep.
You understand? So they're doing the same thing with our image and our music. People should not be afraid of Black people in China. When I went, you know how many people were holding their purses
in
and
China,
like staying away from me? That's all image. That's all propaganda. It's because we're the ones letting our culture be hijacked and taken advantage of. We need to get back to knowing who we are, how powerful we are, start making our couples stronger, start making our community stronger, and like, expressing emotions and making our standard clear. Like, we're too forgiving. So this is the last thing I'm going to say. Yeah. We're too forgiving and too accepting. When people mess up, sometimes they need to be kicked out of the group, period. Like, if they are not doing anything that's positive for us, we can't just say, well, you know, they're Black too, so it's okay. No, it's not. It harms everybody. And if they're white, pretending to be Black to get in, that's even worse. Because when pressure is on, they could flip back to being white again and just be like, oh, I'm not with them. So we need to be careful who we let in, who we let out, and be staunch and understand, like, we are too valuable to let these people take us down. That's always happened. That's our history. We're too forgiving and too open. And the same thing happens with our music. We need to say no more to this. We're too strong. We influence too many, and we have too much power, and we need to recognize it and go full force with it.
I mean, I so agree. When you said we have the power, we have the power. I mean, you have kids in France, Paris, in the farther places of the world sagging their pants. Why? Because Black people in America are sagging their pants. That, to me, that's power. You know what I mean? You have people in the Caribbean, where I'm from, emulating Black Americans. That's a lot of power. You don't see Black Americans emulating any other culture, ever. Right? So I think we got to realize the amount of power we have. We have so much power. If we started walking around reading books, maybe everybody would start around reading books. Yeah, maybe. Let's try it.
That was my point.
You know?
That's my point.
We have power. That is power. For some kid in Africa to be sagging his pants because of some kid in America who he's never met, right? That is, to me, that's power, man. And we got to realize the power we have. I don't think we know how much power we have. We have spending power. We have psychological power, you know, but for some reason, we don't, you know what I mean? We don't spend that equity we have in all this power we have. We just take it for granted, you know, and this has been said many, many, many times by us, by other shows, by other rappers, by other speakers, by other, you know, but nobody seems to be getting the message. We got to do better. We got to do better as a community. We got to do better as Black people. You know, I was driving through New York City, and I was driving through a Jewish community, and I think I said it before in the show, and they look so together. I drove through the Chinese Chinatown. They look so together. They have Chinese banks and this Chinese store, and Chinese people who are just walking amongst each other, just shopping and supporting each other. Same thing in the Jewish community. You go to the Indian community, India from India, same thing. You know what I mean? For some reason, we as Black people just can't seem to get it together. I mean, when one of us gets rich, it's like we take our stuff and we just run off with it. You know what I mean? I got mine, you get yours. You know, we got to change that. And I hope by doing this show, and I hope other people doing these kind of shows, I hope we all can change that, because that's the only thing that's going to save us if we come together. And we're not saying we're going to hate anybody else. We're not like the Proud Boys who just want to get rid of a certain group of people. You know what I mean? We're just saying if we help each other, we can do so much better. With that said, I want to thank everyone for watching the show. Preach, I'm going to go to you now and give us the shows we have coming up in the weeks to come.
Well, next week, actually, maybe we can have time back.
Wait, guys. We to give Denbrock a chance to get his final note in.
Yeah, just as a man, you know, as artists, as adults, you know, we have to mature. At the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter what your job is or what you do for a living or how you present yourself to the public. You know, as hip hop artists, we're teaching each other that we have to be more responsible, you know. And so at the end of the day, you know, I see this conversation and this whole issue of hip hop and rappers who have these lyrics that people don't like. I think it comes down to who do you want to point the finger at and blame what's wrong with society and who's to blame for it. You know, because when it comes to violence, the world has always been violent. When I read the Bible, I see violence. When I watch the news, I see violence. You know, and hip hop is the last place and the last genre and the last entertainment outlet that expresses violence. It's always been here. We're not to blame for violence. Yes, we act responsible just like anybody else when it comes to decision making, because they target the youth. Most of the rappers that has always been signed historically have been young people who don't know the business, who haven't been really schooled and parented in a way that they need to be. You know, a lot of us come from broken homes, single parent homes. Most of the time, we grew up raised by our mothers, and so you're dealing with a generation of kids who don't have any direction. And so I think we just need to acknowledge that when we're criticizing hip hop.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Steve, I thank you so much for having these two great guests who contributed a lot to the show.
My pleasure.
I'm glad you brought these guys on. Too bad we couldn't get Mars Day, but these guys, I think, did a better job.
Next time.
That way nobody has to hold up a mirror.
Yeah. So go ahead, Preach. What do we have coming up for future shows?
Well, next week, February 6th, we're going to be talking about Black cinema in the history of Black cinema. I know Ty is a filmmaker, so maybe he would like to come back and join us on that and talk about his actually, career field. And he's a award-winning filmmaker, so that might be nice. And then we're gonna on the 13th of February, we're gonna be talking about Blacks, the first Blacks that did things. These are the inventors, the creators, the originators, the ones that started it. That's the next 2 weeks.
So that's
I'm a first Black, so tune in on that show to find out what my first Black is. I'm a first Black, so tune in for that show to find out what Kimbrough's first Black is.
And we're also
doesn't count.
And we're also going to be talking about discrimination in the porn industry. I'm kidding. You're not gonna.
I was like,
But there is discrimination. I saw
that's a thing though. That is a thing though.
If a white girl sleeps with a black man in a porn movie, her rate goes down. So
yeah, but doesn't
Taylor
doesn't 5BC stands for 5 Black Cocks? I don't know. I'm confused.
No, it's
wow. Where's my flag? Where's my card? Where's my red card? I didn't use it all day.
Where's my red card?
All right, we want to thank everyone for watching the show. Again, we want to thank our super fans who keep returning. Want to thank Gina Fiore. Gina, you know we love you on the show. You're like our super rabid fan. Pamela Jones, thank you so much. Patricia Felix. Patricia dropped a YouTube video. I'm not sure. It doesn't say what the content is of that video, but I'll click on it once the show is over. Narma, how do you say it?
Staley.
Narma Staley, grandma, as she's so affectionate. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Lisa Osborne. Haven't seen Lisa before, but thank you for. I hope you come back and you ask everyone to watch the show.
That's my mother-in-law.
That's your mother-in-law?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Kevin's mom is Mama Lee. If you're watching again today, hi, how are you? Daddy Lee, we got to get Daddy Lee on at some point. You did a great job with Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can't get to everyone, but thanks to everyone for watching our show. And like I said, if you can watch us on YouTube, it would help us greatly. That's where we can do a lot more. Once again, thanks for watching 5BlackComics. We're going to be back here again next Saturday. And next Saturday is Black Film, you said, Gerald?
Black cinema.
Black cinema. So next Saturday show is going to be about Black cinema. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell your Trump supporters, tell your proud boyfriends, tell everybody we're going to be here. The 5BlackComics. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night. And as the saying goes, be safe.
Be safe.
Good night, everybody.
Rest in peace to Cicely Tyson.
Everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Love,
Thank you, guys.
Okay.